I'm struggling because I can't have a coffee because I've got to go do a blood test after this. And I've got a fast from midnight last night to the blood test, so I can't have a coffee. We'll see how we go. That's a recipe for disaster. So you won't be seeing me with my big mug this morning. So welcome to me and my co-host. Here he is. Come here. No, there he goes, down under my feet. You can see the back of his head there. There he is. He's still in a funny mood lately, aren't you, mate? All right. I've got to show you this beautiful Melbourne day. It's yesterday when I showed you it, it was a bit overcast and I predicted rain. My God, how wrong could I have been? It was one of those typical bay days where the cloud was coming over and you thought, oh, it's going to bucket down. Ended up being a beautiful day. And have a look at how this one started. I'll give you a very good look at this. That is Melbourne. So they can't even get a better view up there. That is Port. Oh, God. This window here is a bit difficult. That is Port Melbourne. Port Phillip Bay. Look at that. Who says Melbourne is not great? Days, oh God, days like that make you forget your misery sometimes. It's just magnificent over the bay today. Beautiful. If I had a boat, I'd go sailing, but I don't have a boat. Took the dog down past the haves and the have-nots. I took the dog for a walk down past Sandringham Yacht Club on the ocean break. You know, I don't know what they call it. The big boulders and all that to protect the bay from, storms. The club from storms and all the boats that are in the piers. My God, some of those boats there are magnificent. Magnificent. There are some people that just live an incredibly different life to what you and I might do. Or you might be one of those out there. If you are, call me. I need an investor for a business thing. But, yeah, there's a lot of people that are doing pretty well out of life. There's a lot of us bums who aren't. And so if you're doing well out of life, good luck to you. If you're bum like me, keep punching. Maybe one day we can own one of those yachts. So, but he loved it. He thought it was great. It was kind of fun. I let him pee and poo everywhere he could. So we had a bit of fun. Anyway, August 18th. Bible read, Psalm 12, well, back in the Old Testament, 121, 1 through 8, the Lord our protector. 5 times in this psalm, we are reminded that the Lord who made heaven and earth is also our protector. What could be safer? I look to the mountains. Where will my help come from? My help will come from the Lord who made heaven and earth. He will not let you fall. Your protector is always awake. The protector of Israel never dozes or sleeps. The Lord will guard you. He is by your side to protect you. The sun will not hurt you during the day, nor the moon during the night. The Lord will protect you from all danger. He will keep you safe. He will protect you. He will protect you as you come and go, now and forever. There are sections of the Bible for a lot of people that are problematic. That's one of them, because life tells us different, doesn't it? Look at all the devout Christians in Nigeria that are being slaughtered by Islamists. The way I equate that, and when I read the Bible, the first thing I read was the New Testament, not the Old Testament. I'm always glad I did that because it just made so much more sense to me. I got a lot of those when I was at primary school and secondary school for RE, and you did a lot of the Old Testament and, Moses leading his people out of Egypt and David and Goliath. You got all the Old Testament stories. You got a bit of the New Testament, but not as much. We didn't delve into it as much, which I think is a mistake if that's still the case in Catholic schools. So I think it's the New Testament that where all the important stuff is, all the exciting stuff is, because it clearly tells you in the New Testament that, yeah, we will go through some tough times. Yeah, you are going to lose a loved one. Yeah, there is going to be some injustice in your life. But what it does say is if you've done everything right in this life and you go to the next life, that's where it all gets corrected. It's clear as day, and you just got to have faith in that process. Just resonated with me. I read the New Testament as a 27-year-old young man, And in my mind, I tried to equate it to having a conversation with a man of similar age, because Jesus died at 33. So I was having a conversation with a man at 27 who was a carpenter from 2,000 years ago. And when I had it in that context, it just blew my mind. I didn't know any carpenters that spoke like that. So if you are starting your journey to explore the Bible, I definitely recommend going the New Testament first. And then I'm doing it now. I'm trying to, one of my goals in my later years is to work my way through the Old Testament. So I'm doing that by reading this book each day anyway. But I just want to sit down and from start to finish read the Old Testament, which is a big job. The Old Testament's got a lot of books. So, but, it's one of my, what do they call it? My bucket list. So we'll see how that goes. But explore it, look for the answers. You got to decide it yourself. There's lots of evidence around, but like I said, you can't do better than reading directly from the gospel from people who walked, lived, slept, ate, died with Jesus. They knew him personally, and that's what the gospels are all about. Anyway, what was I going to rant about today? It's going to be something I could rant about. I've had a few interesting. There was a couple actually. We'll go probably more into our rants as we go through the X again, because there's a couple of them. I had an interesting response from the Logies. I just put up a little post yesterday that I think Robert Irwin's a wanker, which I do. I mean, it is interesting on the left, isn't it? That they've got Hughesy coming out and he's having a crack at their favourite politician in Daniel Andrews and his ALP government, and they're just ripping him left, right and centre for daring to go against the left. So he's the biggest demon on the planet. And the reason Hughesy's turned against the ALP is because of their corruption and their lack of financial nous, and how they've sent his city and my city, our state, into debt it may never recover from. Good on him for coming out and saying it. But then you got this little tryhard, and he is a tryhard, in Robert Irwin. Let's be honest, he's riding the coattails of his dad. And good on him. He's got into the celebrity thing. And I don't know how he really is a celebrity. Hosting that I'm a celebrity, get me out of here. It's one of the worst shows on television anyway. It's been cut, thank God. And who cares? I've never watched that show because I'm not interested in what celebrities do. I couldn't think of a more vile bunch of people to be following. I don't know why people get so wound up about it. They are so fake, it's ridiculous. They will say whatever makes them popular in the celebrity status. They are the equivalent of a grifter on social media. They will show one of the most famous grifters on social media soon. They just jump from one subject to the other. They will flip 180 on their position just to get the likes, the clicks, if you're an influencer. Just to have if you're a celebrity, just to have all the other celebrities applaud you. You've got to be popular with that class, otherwise you might not get another gig. Good luck to Dave Hughes on that front. So Robert Irwin comes out and he has two, they're not even funny jokes. I don't find Robert Irwin funny. I mean, he's not a comedian. He was a wildlife warrior, which was great. That's where he should have stayed, in my opinion, where he, made people aware of all the fantastic things like his dad did about the wildlife, the Steve Irwin Zoo or whatever it was. But now he's gone all woke with the celebrity, and now he's entering politics. So he had a crack at Karl Stefanovic for being far right. What was Karl Stefanovic's? And I didn't watch it, thank God. This is all a result from it. What was Karl Stefanovic's sin? And I don't think Karl Stefanovic's far right by any way, means or forms. I do think he leans right. What's wrong with that? Who cares? But he dared, and they had the same crack at Pauline Hanson about this. He dared to sit down with an interview with Tommy Robinson. Well, that's what journalists do. If you're on 60 Minutes and you had an interview with Tommy Robinson, are you going to be labelled far right? They pursue a lot of people far right. They taint them. They taint the different stories. But Tommy Robinson's got a great story. Tommy Robinson's not far right. If you just do your research, everyone Tommy Robinson's far right, you can't sit with him, but they don't know anything about Tommy Robinson. Tommy Robinson is fighting against the Islamification of his country. He's fighting against the gang rapes of young British girls by grooming Pakistani grooming gangs. Now, that's not fiction. That's fact. It's been introduced into their parliament. It's been talked over and over and over again. But he was one of the first that exposed it. So exposing young women getting raped is now far right. Now, he did some stupid things. He admits this when he was young. He came from a rough background. He was raised rough. But he's ended up being a pretty decent guy, and he's tried to be a husband, but that because of all the attention and threats and death threats he gets, because he took this stand, has broken up his marriage pretty much. So he was as good as husband as could. He's a dad, and he's a loving dad, and he goes around the globe fighting against this and trying to wake people up. Now, he gets it from both sides because he's a supporter of Israel. So, all the anti-Israel people come at him, all the anti-Islam people come at him. All the pro-Islam people come at him. So he's copying it left, right, and centre. But he's not far right. He has friends that are black. He has friends that are Asian. He marches alongside people of any colour persuasion. He'll march along with gays. He's not far right. He has conservative positions for sure. But we've lost the whole context of what far right means. Far right is a Nazi. Tommy Robinson's not a Nazi. But the media don't hesitate to label him far right. And here you got this dickhead in Robert Irwin, 22, hasn't even really experienced the world properly. He's on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here and Dancing with the Stars. And apparently he's this glorious role model for the celebrity class now. I mean, the Gold Logie went to an average comedian in what's his name, Stephen Payne. He's an okay comedian, but he's an average one. But he won the Gold Logie for what? Sitting on a bar and cracking jokes? That's all he does. He cracks jokes. You compare him to the Gold Logies of the past. The Logies used to mean something. We all used to watch the TV. Australia used to produce some pretty good television series and even films and all that. Now we just produce rubbish, celebrity rubbish, reality TV rubbish. And, the fact that, and I like Scotty Cam, but the fact that Scotty Cam can win a Gold Logie is a joke. The fact that Pang can win a Gold Logie is a joke. The whole thing is a joke. It's just a farce. And when you see the people that walk in that venue, you realize, what a bunch of lunatics. They're just nutters. So I remember used to sitting up watching Logies with Bert Newton and what was his, I can't remember. Was it Graham? But when they had, what's his name? John Wayne come out, Muhammad Ali come out, and they were guests of the Logies. Used to be brilliant TV. Now it's just a joke. It's a leftist loving. So, that's the way it goes. And then he had to have a crack. It wasn't him. It was another comedian, Jacobson, who had to have a crack about Pauline Hanson and keeping her mouth shut, which is a real pity. You get to the point, and this is how I go with watching films and media and all that. Jacobson's been in some good films. I've enjoyed his work. But then he doesn't understand, or the media don't understand, celebrity class don't understand, that when you have a crack like Pauline Hanson, all those like me that may support Pauline Hanson but like your work will now be turned off. So, a lot of people go, well, I'm never going to watch another one of these films. All I found by doing that, the vast bulk of the film industry, the news industry, the celebrity industry, they all lean left. So if you're going to cancel them all, you're going to have nothing. So I just watch the film for their content, not for their celebrity status. And if it's a good film, I'll appreciate it. I don't want to lose good theatre, good films, good music out of my life because I can't stand the person who's performing it. I can respect the performance without having to respect the performer, if you understand. So, I will still watch whatever and I want to watch, listen to whatever I want to listen to, read whatever I want to write. But I can also see through that in the background towards the person producing that art, if you want to call it, and disagree with them, and sometimes disagree violently. But it is disappointing that they've brought everything we've got these days got politics in it, whether it's sport, whether it's media, whether it's celebrities, whether everything that was designed to entertain us is now being used to indoctrinate us. And unless you're strong-willed enough and smart enough to resist that or see through it, you get caught up in the bullshit. Little wonder we've got an indoctrinated mob now in society. I just want to show you one little picture of how in such a short period, we're talking about 60 years, about my lifetime, on how quickly, and this is what the old boomers, we always see. I'll get it up. We're getting in early into our bookmarks because I just think this is relevant. Oh, God. They've just made it so hard on X now to find your bookmark folders. I just want to show you one picture that I think sums it up of how far as a society we've fallen. Oh, God, I have gone back a bit. Got something funny to share at the end. Anyway, let's have a quick look at it. Oh, God, get out there. And there it is. That's a photo. Don't know if I can get that bigger. So that's a photo of a primary school in the 50s or 60s. And this used to always happen. You go out, you raise a flag, you'd have your school assembly. And if you look at all the faces in that photo, they're all white kids. White kids in their school uniform. I'd say that'd be, well, you don't know. Back then, even public schools had school uniforms. So it could be a Catholic primary school. It's obviously in the country. But these kids come from all over the place, bust into the school. And, that's what Australia was. Now, a lot of people would look at that photo and think, oh, bunch of colonialists, bunch of racists, bunch of bigots. That's the left these days. They've been conditioned into looking at certain things and saying, oh, they're far right. They're a racist. They're a bigot. They're a faggot. Oh, no. Sorry. Last word I should take out. Bigot thing rhymed. So they're a Nazi. They're a fascist. All that sort of stupid nonsense. And they would be looking and be taught to look at that picture of those kids and, call them all sorts of names simply because they're white. Now, I can tell you, going back to those days, from the day I was born, which I won't tell you, was in the early 60s, throughout the 70s, those pictures would have been so common, even through the 80s. You would go to a country's school and it would be all white. We weren't taught to hate on anyone. And there was untalked things about when you went to the footy club and all that. There definitely was some anti-gay stuff, that's for sure. I'll concede that. But there was no, we don't like Indigenous. We had names for them. They had names for us, But I was raised in a lot of the country. Where I was born in Bensdale, Swan Reach was down the road. That was an Indigenous town. Used to play the Swan Reach Football Club, and they were all Indigenous players. And they were amazing players. But I'll tell you what was a fact. They would have a barrel of beer in their change rooms, and at halftime they'd swig it all. It was common knowledge. And the thing against them, everyone knew it. If you kept playing hard over 4 quarters, you'd beat them. Because second half, they won't have a gut full of beer in their belly. So they'd be kicking your butt in the first half, and the second half, well, that was the common thing. Now, it's a tad sad. It really was. And the whites had empathy for them. They didn't want to see them going down that way. So there was no racism as such, but we were really an Anglo country. And I'm going to tell you, it was magnificent. It was magnificent. It was a magnificent country to live in. And we did open up our doors. Those kids in that picture, their parents opened up the doors. They got rid of the white Australia policy, which many will argue was a mistake. They opened up the doors to Italian refugees, Greek refugees, Vietnamese refugees, and all through that we assimilated wonderfully. There was no issues as we went through. We realised we were in that South Asian continent. When it all started turning sour was after 9/11 and Angela Merkel and opening up the doors to the Middle Eastern refugees. That's a fact. I mean, people can argue all they like, but once we started accepting that immigrant status into the country more and more and more, and we see the issues with it more and more and more, that's where the issues with immigration has really come to a head. Because, you know, the Vietnamese and Chinese who come here, a lot of them are Christians and they assimilate. They want to practice their faith. A lot of them are looking for, I know, for example, a number of Chinese have immigrated here from Hong Kong after China took over Hong Kong. They got away from it because they'd grown up in a certain society, a certain way of living, and they wanted their kids to experience that, not the CCP way of living. Same thing happened with Vietnamese refugees. Same with some Indonesian ones I know. And a lot of them, the commonality is their Christianity. They wanted their kids to live in a country where they could practice that faith, have their kids go to a Christian school and not experience discrimination. But lo and behold, here it comes. So, you know, the left are a bunch of sneering elites that just want to sneer down their nose at us. And Dave Hughes, for example, is copying that at the moment because he dared turn against Andrews and their government. And now I've got a clip here, a tweet here. Not only are they coming after Dave Hughes, his family, they're now coming after his pets. Dave is finding out how vile the left are and how the left were when he was a part of the left. He's having a wake-up moment. Long may it continue, and good on him. I've held fire on this one because I wanted to be convinced he's going to stay the course. I'm pretty convinced now. He is copping so much flack, and he's not wavering. He's pushing back. And he's pushing back for the right reasons. He's seen what a mess the corruption and the financial scandals have made of his state, and he's standing for it, as I said before. So good on him. Now, I'm going to get back into X because, like I said, I've got to get down for this blood test, and I don't want to be too late. So let's get into X today. Big show tonight at 8 o'clock. Making a little announcement that I've made previously, but I got bent on, and then that sort of went out the window a little bit. So on it goes for it. Next thing, Pauline, media release. One Nation to cut tobacco tax to smash organised crime. About bloody time. Australia's tobacco excise policy has failed, is now underwriting organised crime. Very true. One Nation will cut tobacco excise by 75%, pause indexation for 3 years, and pair the cut with tougher action against organised crime. One Nation leader, Senator Pauline Hanson, said Australians were sick of criminal gangs terrorising their communities and working and getting rich while the Albanese government pretends their policy is still working. That policy was supposed to be a counter towards people smoking heavily, and it was a health thing, and the health experts came out from from honourable actions come unintended consequences. So you've got to be very careful. You know, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So that's one of these good intentions. But the government, they're not doing it as a health measure anymore. It's a money-making exercise. Just like, if you think speed cameras and traffic cameras and all these are to save lives, no, it's not. It's to bring in the millions upon millions. They're slaves to that money now. It never used to exist, but now they're slaves to it because it enables them to finance all their little advocacy calls, which we'll get into in a minute. So, you know, if you get sucked in that these are health measures or community measures, you're a fool. The only thing Pauline needs to be careful of is will will, by removing this, the organised gangs will just move on to something else. So they've just got to be ready for what they'll move on to next. Anyway, let's keep moving. Ben Fordham, have a listen to this. Your tax dollars at work. Listen to where they go.
An astonishing amount of taxpayers' money. For just 100 activist groups in just over 4 years, we've handed out, wait for it, $2.2 billion. $2.2 billion between 2021 and 2025. Taxpayers' money.
2021 and 25. That's Albo's government.
Money. And the $2.2 billion overwhelmingly went in one political direction. You don't need a prize for guessing which way. We pay the tax, the government takes the money, it hands it to activists, and those groups then lobby the government for more spending.
Listen to the
It's being described as stacking the deck of public debate. This comes from a fresh report from Jordan Abu Zaid and Morgan Begg from the Institute of Public Affairs. According to the numbers, over $1 billion went to diversity and multicultural advocacy.
Diversity and multicultural advocacy, $1 billion. What a load of rot that is.
Advocacy. $309 million went to welfare and legal advocacy.
So many people on welfare. Joke. And they'll all vote Labor.
Almost $170 million to environmental lobbyists.
170 million to the climate change cultists who are getting by on a lie. They're taking all their money.
And nearly $97 million went to Indigenous co-governance and self-determination groups.
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
And you can have a look at Reconciliation Australia as an example. They've received more than $28 million between 21 and 25. They were one of the activist organisations campaigning for constitutional recognition and the voice. And the IPA makes the point, when the government funds campaign bodies pushing constitutional change, it's effectively the government lobbying the public to accept its preferred changes. So think about that. Australians were being asked to vote yes or no, but taxpayers on both sides were helping fund activist organisations arguing just one side of the case. The IPA could not find a single organisation dedicated to campaigning against the voice that received any funding.
So that voice referendum, the government funded it. The government funded activist groups on the yes side, didn't fund anyone on the no side, and it still failed. Albo's a bloody criminal. He's an absolute criminal. Anybody who wastes taxpayers' dollars like this should face charges.
And that's the issue. It's not equal footing. It's not equal funding. It's not a level playing field.
Ben, call it for what it is. It's a criminal act. That's what it is.
Then look at migration. The Federation of Ethnic Communities Council of Australia has received $25 million.
And where's all that money going?
They've pushed for a refugee intake of at least 20,000 a year.
That's where all that money's going.
Again, people are entitled to argue that case, but why should taxpayers be forced to bankroll it? And then there's the climate crew and environmental mob. 36 million to one group, 31 million to another. We give money to the Nature Conservation Council of New South Wales, who campaign for no new or extended coal mines.
So they're campaigning against something that could be productive, bring business and income into the country, employ people, and those employed people would pay taxes. The coal mines would pay royalties. So they've made country even poorer, and we've actually paid our tax dollars to them to make our country poorer. Makes sense? No, makes no sense. Certainly doesn't make any dollars.
Almost 12 million to the Environmental Defenders Office. And they...
What the hell is that? The Environmental Defenders Office. What the hell is that?
Bankrolled the campaign to cancel the billion-dollar gold mine in Orange. They used a story about a bumblebee and a white-looking woman who claimed to be Indigenous to sink it. The Environmental Defenders Office punishes any whiff of progress, and yet, over 4 years, we've handed them $12 million. If this was simply about supporting public debate, you'd expect some balance. But this research suggests all the money's flowing in the same direction, to the left. $2.2 billion over 4 years. It's a taxpayer-funded political rort.
Totally rot. And total rot that should be criminal. Should be criminalised. Albo should face jail. Jim Chalmers should face jail. There's got to be a different way of allocating these sorts of grant money. This is why 30% of the polling is always ALP, because you've got 30% of the population, just listed it there, the immigrants, those on welfare, those who are into the climate change nonsense, and the Indigenous. So you've got 30% of the country that's locked into that, and they're going to support the ALP because they're going to get this river of gold coming back their way, at least for now, until the whole nation goes bankrupt and that river of gold dries up. But, we're away from that. So hopefully we can get them out, and hopefully we can get some sensible government in for 10, 20 years, and we can stop it. But the problem is they'll come back and do it again. So you've got to find, and this is something I'm talking about tonight, 8 o'clock tonight on my Eureka Conservative podcast. Tonight, we're going to make an announcement on how I'm looking to develop a project that will push back to get Conservatives more organised so this sort of nonsense gets stopped. We can't keep having this going on. If there's one thing we hand to the next generation, it's a sensible governance structure that doesn't allow the rorting of taxpayers' dollars like this. This should be going into our roads, into our health. God knows it should go into our education in some ways to get the socialist out of it. It should be going into supporting our veterans, helping the homeless. It shouldn't be going into all this bullshit. 2.2 billion. Unbelievable. And then they have the audacity to say, well, the government, whoever's in government, like if you listen to the question, where's the money coming from when someone makes an election promise? Well, you've just been given 2.2 billion in cuts right there that you could make to fund other projects or pay back our debts. Insane. Let's get back into it. Let's see what else is news. Oh, here we go. The lefties are up in arms over this. Let's have a listen.
Sydney's gay and lesbian Mardi Gras. The One Nation leader says she believes Pauline Hanson has reignited controversy with her views on Sydney's gay and lesbian Mardi Gras. The One Nation leader says she believes personal sexuality should be kept behind closed doors.
She's long been a feature of Sydney's Mardi Gras.
No, I don't like it.
But almost 30 years on,
No, I still don't like the gay Mardi Gras, but that's my opinion, and I'm not going out there saying shut it down.
instead saying,
I think your own personal sexuality should be kept in closed doors, behind closed doors.
days after her own
She's 100% right. I'm with her, 1,000%. Why do I need a gay man walking or woman walking half naked down the street to push LGBTQI ideology down my throat? Why does anyone need that?
colleague came out with this.
I don't say it, but I think we're one of the gayest parties in Australia.
I know there are gay people that work for One Nation, for myself, and good on them. You know what? They got it on their merit.
Meantime, the Home Affairs Minister is still working through the merits of his migration policy, instead taking a swipe at the Shadow Housing Minister's own speech, countering several official coalition positions.
The speech had coalition policies and then it had areas of debate that we should have.
If you want an example.
There's no more treasonous bastard than this one. This bastard sells this country out every day he takes breath. If we had a Guantanamo Bay, he would be one of the first prisoners if I was in government going to it. This bastard, if the Anzacs from World War I knew what he was doing and could come back, they'd tear him to shreds. He is a treasonous bastard.
Of what happens when you don't do your policy work collegiately, I give you Senator Andrew Bragg as Exhibit A.
That from Tony Burke, who still hasn't committed to rescheduling his own address more than a week after postponing his press club appearance.
We're going through a detailed policy process where you look at every possible consequence.
Knowing everything.
What a devious prick. A week ago, he was supposed to appear at the National Press Club, cancelled it because it was all about immigration. He got pushed back apparently from his cabinet. I don't know why. Maybe for a change he wanted to cut it. But this prick, he welcomes ISIS brides at the airport. He has citizenship ceremonies just before an election. He caters to the Islamic radicals all the time. Oh, my God. If there's one person that really annoys me in Parliament, him and Chris Bowen, they're two of the worst there.
On the line to get it right. Now, the Home Affairs Minister did confirm today, though, that working holiday visas are being processed at a rate slower than previously. It's understood the government is reviewing that area as a way to meet its net overseas migration target. That's despite concerns from the agriculture sector that it could lead to a shortage of workers. But the government points out that is principally what the Pacific Workers Scheme is for. On the other hand, One Nation and the Nationals have their sights set on student visas. The Nats passing a motion at its national conference this weekend for a 25% cap on international enrolments across all
As it should bloody be.
Australian universities. Ange.
Jasmine, thank you. Pauline Hanson.
I don't get why the media always try and paint common sense, because you and I listen to that and we go, that's just common sense. The gay Mardi Gras. I mean, Mardi Gras never used to be about gayness. They've hijacked that. So what used to be something for the whole community is now only for the gay community. And if you watch some of these in overseas, the Australian one's a bit better, but it's still pretty lewd. They walk around totally naked. Kids are watching, and grown men flashing their, sorry for the language, flashing their penises and whatever at these kids. I mean, it's disgusting. How does that promote the gay community? And I know there's members of the gay community. I'm not anti-gay, but I am anti the gay Mardi Gras. I mean, I don't think it does the gay community any good at all. I think it turns people against them. But anyway, that's up to them. They keep it going. Like Pauline Hanson said, she's not opposing the gay Mardi Gras. She just thinks people should keep their own sexual attitudes behind the bedroom door. I totally 100% agree. I don't need to know what you're doing in your sex life. You don't need to know what I'm doing in mine. I certainly don't want to know what you're doing in your gay sex life. I really keep that in the bloody bedroom. I find it disgusting. But if you want to live that way, good luck to you. Don't tell me about it. Like Pauline said, come to work, ace your job, go home, then do what you want to do. But when you're at work, don't bring that shit to my door. Why is that not common sense? Just like with the student visas. It's common sense to have a cap on it. Absolute common sense. Why we don't already have a cap on it is beyond me. Australian universities should be first and foremost for Australian kids. Where we can't fill those spots with Australian kids, then maybe we look at overseas students. It's become an absolute rort with the overseas students coming into our universities and Australian kids struggling to get a spot. So ridiculous. Yet the media want to always paint her as the devil. Yet a policy platform, if you look at a policy platform, it's decent, it's conservative, it's common sense policy. There's nothing disastrous in it. It's not racist, it's not far right. There's those on the far right that are critical of Pauline. Media are a joke. Politics is a joke. Seriously. Anyway, next. I've got a bit saved up for today. Jim Chalmers, this is more of a post, it's not a clip. Consider this, Labor thieves. This is from Ellie Marshall. I can't reply because Jim Chalmers is blocked in, typical. Fascist, that's fascism. Consider this, Labor thieves. If you're worried people withdraw from super, if it becomes voluntary, that means you are taking people's money against their will so your union mates can enrich themselves. The truth is a shitload of green and renewable projects use the $4 trillion of super money to prop themselves up when people would never invest in them willingly. Labor are terrified their house of cards will come tumbling down the second people have a choice about what to do with their money. By all means, send my tweet to Chalmers. 1,000%. Superannuation is our money. It's not the government's. It's not their activist groups. We should be able to invest that money and we should be able to withdraw that money when and where we like. It's up to us to create a nest egg for the future. This has been the biggest con ever. People should... I don't trust the government to save for my future. I just don't trust them. And why should we trust them? We've only got to look at the state budgets, at the federal budgets. They can't even save for the nation's future. Why should I trust these bastards with my money? I'd rather use my money to invest in my future for myself. If I screw that up, that's on me. So this, and it also I think it makes people a little lazy. So what I mean by that, you always sit back, I've got my super, I've got my super, I've got my super. What if your superannuation fund goes ass up? Saying it won't. Most super funds are run by the trade union movement. What if all of a sudden you can't get that super? Read up on the Great Depression. People who had money in the banks went bankrupt. Couldn't withdraw their money. They lost it all. So don't tell me it hasn't happened. History tells me it's happened. And you're far better controlling that as much as you can yourself than the government doing it. And, you know, these superannuation funds are exactly that. If I do my work for my employer, I should be able to get the money he pays me, and I should be able to do with that as I wish. I shouldn't be having it taken by the government for them to invest on my behalf. If you're a libertarian, if you believe in individual liberty, you should be right with that concept. If you're a little patsy, a little lackey for the government, well, okay, you want big brother, big daddy government, good luck to you. But not for me. Next, we got a bit to get through. How's this? An immigration detainee facing serious charges has been living in Brisbane's 5-star Meriton Suite since November, paid for entirely yet again by the Australian taxpayers. Let's have a listen.
A CBD hotel. The man who's facing... It's been revealed taxpayers have footed the bill for an immigration detainee's 9-month stay in a CBD hotel. The man who's facing serious...
9 months stay? We are a joke.
Charges has been residing in the 5-star Meriton Suite since November. Court documents reveal he couldn't stay at Brisbane's Immigration Detention Centre because it can't accommodate high-security detainees.
Then send him back to his home country.
Authorities are now working to transfer him to a Melbourne detention centre.
So what, Melbourne's got to take more of him because Queensland can't accommodate him? Are you serious? What happened to that big bloody centre they built for COVID, you know, to put people suffering COVID in? Turn that into a prison, for God's sakes. Candace Owens, influencers who do 180s. This is from Nathan Livingston. Shout out to the Milk Bar TV. Give him a follow at the Milk Bar TV. Watch Candace Owens' show versus debate. The contradictions, goalposts, moves and gaslighting as one claim after another falls apart. If you watch this debate, and I watch parts of it, I just can't listen to this woman for too long, so we probably won't play the whole clip. But let's listen. Nathan's very good at this. He'll bring out the receipts of what she said in the past and what she says now. Have a listen.
My belief that there's overwhelming evidence that Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk. And 2, Candace's belief that there's overwhelming evidence that Tyler Robinson was a patsy and didn't kill Charlie Kirk. Why is it that we should go with this idea that it was a patsy?
I'm not saying that we should go with the idea that it was a patsy. I am saying that there is...
I thought that was the whole defense, your whole claim.
No, Tyler Robinson, they're going to convict him. Right? They found their patsy. They're going to make it work.
The alleged shooter, you think they're a patsy?
Of course, they're a patsy. A patsy, which is what Tyler Robinson is. Tyler is a patsy. I maintain that. What we've all suspected, that Tyler Robinson is indeed a patsy. I'm not saying that we should go with the idea that it was a patsy.
Was Lance Twiggs' DNA on the rifle, as far as you know?
Prints which were found on the gun, which of course included Lance Twiggs. More evidence that Lance Twiggs simply took Tyler Robinson's family heirloom of a gun and helped the feds set him up as a patsy. More of his DNA than Tyler's on the gun, that there is objectively more overwhelming evidence that Lance Twiggs did this crime. Lance Twiggs has his DNA on the rifle. Well, it's Tyler's rifle, but Lance's DNA is more prominent. How does that happen?
Was Lance Twiggs' DNA on the rifle, as far as you know?
We can't say that for certainty.
As far as you know?
We can't say that for certainty.
No, as far as you know.
We can't say that for certainty until we know what other the 5 sets of prints were on.
So that would be no as far as you know.
We can't say that for certainty.
Oh
there is why it is impossible for me to think that Eureka Kirk is not complicit somehow.
That Tyler Robinson was 100% responsible for the death of Charlie Kirk. Let's just say she believed it with every fiber of her being, believed all the evidence, because she did. She just actually did. Would it then follow that somehow she's complicit in his death?
I didn't say implicit in death. Amount of evidence that is now piling up against Eureka Kirk. I've seen enough. Eureka Kirk should be dragged into a police precinct. I'm at the point right now, I want Eureka to just drop a book like, If I Did Do It, like OJ did. If I Did Do It by Eureka Kirk, the Black Widow, the CEO. I think Eureka is calculated. And I want to say to JD Vance, you better wake up fast, okay? That's a Black Widow, my friend. You will get bit. I didn't say implicit in death. You added those two words. Tyler Robinson, we can exclusively confirm to you all, drove 3 hours away from Orem, Utah, down to Panguitch, Utah. Grabbed himself a seat at the bar at this steakhouse.
That's about 4 back.
And he ordered himself some more food.
So there's no evidence that Tyler was at that steakhouse?
I would say the receipt with his debit card number, it would be some hard evidence. I have confirmed that that happened. Again, there was a literal receipt. There's a literal receipt for that because, as we said, he paid with his debit card.
Is there proof that that was actually his debit card that he paid with?
I think you should follow the person that is behind that story.
Well, the reason I'm asking you is because you always include it in your timeline.
Now updated timeline to get from Orem down to Panguitch. And as soon as he got done and bought himself a steak down in Panguitch, we broke the story that Tyler was eating a steak down in Panguitch and drives 3 hours down to Panguitch.
So should that be added in an official timeline that you give?
It's in my timeline. It's my show, and we can add and subtract what we want, and we do. If we get something wrong,
you can do what you want, sure, but I'm asking, should you include a thing that you know hasn't actually been verified to be Tyler Robinson's?
Yes, you should. If we're trying to build a timeline, you should.
Now, you have stated multiple times that you believe that Israel's involved in the death of Charlie Kirk.
That's the number 5.
Can you give me...
Yes, we can pull up the clip.
That's what all of the evidence and all of the behavior points to, is Israel's involvement. Those of us who believe that there is mounting evidence that Israel put a hit on Charlie Kirk, I think France and Israel are involved in Charlie Kirk's assassination. And I'm going to put that out there with full confidence.
So I'm asking, if you think that Israel and France were involved in the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and you say with full confidence, I'm just asking for the evidence, or at least walk me through the mindset of why it is that you could think that with evidence.
I actually don't have to walk you through why I think.
Between 0 to 100, what is the likelihood that you think Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk and killed him? Candace?
Is number 6.
0%.
0%.
I'm at 0.
There is a possibility in the next few months that you may come out and say, guys, it's done. Tyler killed him.
Yeah.
So you're saying yes to that.
Yeah.
I think it's very important for the audience to hear that from you.
Without question. 0%.
0%.
I'm at 0.
That's amazing. I mean, I don't know how this woman has any credibility, but there's so many others like her on the internet. You just listen to it then. 5 backflips. 5 backflips. 1 on the show. Actually 6, if you count that one. She's just a grifter. She's a liar. She's a deceitful, vile person. And just, if you want an idea what she does for money, just look at those clips and see her wardrobe. Pretty impressive. I mean, none of us could afford that sort of thing. She's all about the money. She's all about the click. She's all about that. She'll say and do anything. She'll lie away all the way through it. There's so many on social media. Look at me. I'm in the same old blue hoodie every day. I come from the same crappy office. You see it, all the things. So, I mean, you've only got to look at the environment some of these people are in. And I'm not saying you can't have a good wardrobe. I'm saying just look into it a bit closer and then look into her history. And if you're one of these that is in the Candace, this is typical of the left, for example. Yeah, it's the same sort of behavior. You just accept verbatim anything that comes out of her mouth if you're part of the Candace Owens cult. No matter what she says, no matter what she does, there are people in this debate, and I've watched a bit of it. I'm not going to sit down for 4 bloody hours, but I've watched enough of the clips to see that Candace Owens got absolutely annihilated. But there's people coming out about how she hit it out of the park. How? She didn't hit it out. They're going by one clip where Andrew Wilson, who, by the way, I'm not a huge fan of either, but he didn't know the number of charges against Tyler Robinson. So I wouldn't either. I'm not following it that closely. I am following her because Tyler Robinson's going to jail for life if not they're getting executed. Candace Owens could be around for another decade influencing people. So we got to keep highlighting it as we go through. Devious bitch. Evil bitch. I'll go further. But anyway, that's just me. This is a great argument. If you're pro-life like mine, ever listen to this lady about you always hear my body, my choice. This is a different perspective.
All right. Just a pro-life Catholic nurse that's ready to break down the my body, my choice for those that like to trust the science. Here we go. When people like to say it's my body, my choice, they're assuming that the child is part of the mother's body, but that's not biologically true. From conception, the child has their own distinct DNA, a genetic identity separate from the mother's. The child is a developing human being, not the mother's tissue. So yes, a woman's body is her own, but the child's body is the child's. The real question isn't whether she can choose what happens to her body. She can. It's whether someone can intentionally end another distinct human life, and the answer is no. People sometimes say, it's not viable yet, it can't survive on its own, but viability is about dependency, not personhood. A newborn can't survive alone either, neither can a 2-year-old. Dependency doesn't determine whether a life matters. What matters is that it's a human being with their own genetic identity, and it is. I hope you trust the science.
Spot on. Use those arguments with anybody you need to. Because it is a joke. Now we're gonna. What have we got? Got a few today. I might save a few of these for tomorrow because I do have to get going for a. Tell you, this is great. Trump's taken the America out of UN aid or USAID with World Vision, and instead. It's official. President Trump, Marco Rubio, redirecting $2 billion to Christian humanitarian groups after major cuts were made to USAID, with World Vision, Samaritan's Purse, and others on the list. That's exactly. We should be getting out of these UN bullshit and going towards some legitimate aid groups instead of ones that fund terrorist groups.
Of the Lord and the King's house, and all that came into Solomon's heart to make in the house of the Lord. And in his own house, he prosperously effected. And the Lord of my kingdom, according to...
Okay, I think that's a bit of AI. I don't want to be going down on that one. But I think that is great. I've got a few longer ones. I'll go finish on this one because I reckon this is hilarious. I'll see if I can get it up in a bigger picture. I'm getting better at this. I'm a celebrity. Get me out of here. Now, hear me out. The idea of this one. This is a different. How would outplay Survivor in a new TV series? Left-wing celebrities, here they are, wearing rainbow-coloured jumpsuits, are dropped deep inside territories controlled by Islamic extremists. Who will make it out alive? Oh my God, I could definitely watch that. As it says here, what a cracker of a show this would be. It would absolutely smash all the records at this year's TV Week Awards in Best Drama, Comedy, Entertainment and Reality, Lifestyle and Factual News in Sport, with a special category to be added called the Darwin Award. Yeah, 100%. I would watch that. That is one real life series I would watch. We've got one more to finish off with. And got to finish off, I love my animal clips. And I feel like this dog someday, where is he? Got to go. Last few days have been pretty slack. I've added probably too many this one. As it says in the clip, when you're trying to work and that one co-worker won't leave you alone. What have they done? We'll try again. Sorry. And that's it. We'll finish off on a doggy clip. Oh, it's still quiet. What is that? So we'll finish off on a pet clip. Love it. We'll have more to come on those. But if you've ever had that coworker, I certainly have, you would be able to reflect on that clip. So I've definitely had a few of those in my life. It doesn't mind. This day out in Melbourne is just getting better and better and better. It is magnificent. I might even finish by giving you another look, because people won't believe me when I say this, but this is August in Melbourne. August. Have a look at this. All right, got to get my laptop up there. Look at that bay. Flat blue sky. Might have to get into the shorts. Magnificent. That is Melbourne. Can't knock it a day. Knock a lot of things going on in Melbourne. But that bay is magnificent. It's beautiful. I've got to say, Port Phillip Bay is beautiful when you have days like this. It is really, really good. There's a lot of activity. It's not so great when it gets really hot and you've got 2,000 people down here. But anyway, so I don't know when I put my glasses on. I don't need them. From me, my co-host here, JJ, he's gotten up. From me, my dog, God bless you. God bless your kids. God bless your grandkids. God bless your pets. God bless that flag in this country. Tonight, 8 o'clock, special episode. We're going to make an announcement about a project to help conservative values be put at the forefront of people's minds and get us organised so we can push back against the radical leftist, socialist, Marxist, all those nutters that we see on our TV sets every single day. It's about time we found a way that we could get good governance in this state, in this city, in this country for the next decade to 2 decades. That's what we need to get this country back. Everyone talks about getting this country back. That's the only way. You got to get rid of left-leaning governments and replace them for a good 20-year period, at least, with conservative governments, and hopefully get back to what used to be the common sense, even centre-left, of Bob Hawke and his government, which none of you would know about, most of you, because you're probably all too young. But anyway, that's where we get to. So I'll see you tonight, 8 o'clock, or tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. See you, everyone. Hopefully you have a great day, and if you're in Melbourne, you enjoy the weather. See ya. Bye for now.